The President of the United States delivered his first State of the Union address last night with a stirring rallying cry for the free world, declaring Russia's invasion of Ukraine as a proxy for the new duel between democracy and tyranny. Taking over the primetime slot on American television screens, President Joe Biden delivered an hour-long address. The first 11 minutes were dedicated to the war unfolding in Europe. He celebrated America's success in rallying Western allies and called the Russian leader out for nuclear saber-rattling and starting the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. He hailed European allies for inflicting pain on the Russian economy and warned Vladimir Putin of more actions to come.
To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. Along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others, even Switzerland, are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been.
Biden framed the Ukraine conflict as the beginning of a momentous struggle for freedoms threatened by dictators, underscoring one of the key themes of his presidency. Ukrainian flags were waved on the floor of Congress shortly after the president again spoke with Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky and expressed support for his struggle. Biden was speaking to an audience far beyond the lawmakers gathered in the room and Americans watching the speech on television. He called on lawmakers to stand and applaud Ukraine's ambassador to Washington, who was a guest of the Bidens for the speech.
The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people.
Well, let's talk now to Dr. Tatiana Kulakevich. She is an assistant professor at the University of South Florida and a research fellow at USF's Institute on Russia, and she joins us live from the Sunshine State of Florida. Dr. Kulakevich, stirring words, stirring imagery on the floor of Congress last night, but I didn't hear a single demand made of Vladimir Putin by the president. What did President Biden achieve last night?
Well, this address by President Joe Biden is very important because he delivered on his achievements during the term he served. So this address was towards American people more than towards the external powers and towards Vladimir Putin. Even though Russian TV official channels were interpreting the address the way it was advantageous for them, he tried to kind of deliver the address that everything he was doing brought success and united the Western powers, and that was the message.
But we are seeing, I think it's fair to say, certainly caution on the part of President Biden. No demands made of Vladimir Putin, a hint at further action. At one point he ad-libbed in the speech that the Russian leader doesn't know what is coming, but he didn't go into any detail about what that might be. He conceded that Ukrainian armed forces are going to find it very difficult to resist the Russian onslaught. And it's absolutely apparent from everything that he said that he doesn't want to get drawn into a war with Russia that might end up going nuclear. But what does that do for Ukraine? I mean, at the end of the day, is the president essentially charting a course that will inevitably see him as being the man on whose watch Ukraine was lost?
Well, I have to agree here because even though we should agree that the Western countries did unify, but that happens with a delay. And a lot of loud statements by the United States President Joe Biden and other powers, they were very loud, but they did not deliver immediately. The sanctions by the United States, unfortunately, were very, very weak when President Putin entered the Ukrainian territory after he recognized the two breakaway regions. And because the response was not was more of a talk than walking the walk, he was encouraged more to proceed with his initial plan. And it looks that Vladimir Putin expected that it would be hard for the Western countries to unify first and then also to implement the sanctions and the punishments these countries were promising. And that what we actually see these days. Ukraine has to convince the Western powers that it does want its own territory, that people of Ukraine are ready to die. It actually essentially is buying time for the Western countries to unite and shows them that they don't have any other choice but get together and one by one join SWIFT, for example, that actually only started being active today, and that's already almost a week of fighting. And still energy sector was not sanctioned, and still Russia has gets some room for maneuver, even though it's already also we can say that it miscalculated in its speed of the offensive that it launched on the Ukraine.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.